Hi, Anamika. Good
Hi,
evening.
good evening. How are you?
Welcome to this live of Voice Behind the Pages. So
Thank you
let
so
me
much.
just talk about you. Anamika Mishra is an award-winning author, travel blogger, and certified life coach. She's also a social media influencer with having 500,000 of collective fan following on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. She is a founder of Responsible Yatri, a digital space dedicated to promoting responsible and mindful travel. She's a nature enthusiast and a climate activist as well. Anamika encourages travelers to explore the world sustainably, respect local cultures, and reduce their environmental impact. So, as a life coach, she helps people to achieve a perfect balance in the spiritual, mental, and emotional well being, inspiring them to lead more meaningful lives and empowering them to manifest their desires. So, you see, she wears so many hats. She's an author, she's a travel blogger, she's a life coach, and she's a climate activist. So, today we have our Women Shine Live host, Dr. Preeti Talwar, with us. She will
Hello. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be back again in the year 2025. And first episode of 2025, we have Anamika Mishra with us. And as already, Aparna Mishra has already told us so much about our guest. Without further ado, over to you, Anamika. A little about you, since we've come to know that you have a different you into a lot of things like travel
Yes, I
blogging,
was a
and you're a climate activist, and obviously you're an author. So can you just tell us how you got into all this, because your career trajectory seems very interesting. Just give our audience
Yeah,
uh, more information how this happened.
thank you so much for your kind words of appreciation. Actually, if I talk about the career trajectory, it all started with that curiosity towards knowing and learning things. And if you just connect the dots, like whatever I do, whether it's travel blogging, if it's content creation, if it's life coaching, writing books, writing blogs, consulting people, it's all connected to each other, and it all comes down to one point, that I am a very curious soul. And obviously creativity, I just thank God for that. It's God gifted. So everything is just interconnected, and I was always interested in writing, even since my school time. Like, I used to contribute to my school magazine. I used to write article poetry, and even short stories. And then when I got into college in 2007, that's was the time when I came to know about blog. And there was this very interesting small short incident which sparked this blogging thing. So I was watching TV, and there was this ad called it was about Save the Tigers. And at the end of that ad, the commercial, they just said, we need to spread the word, talk to people, educate people, write blogs. And that's when I thought, what is write blogs? I mean, I know articles, I know stories, I know books, art journals and newspapers, but what is blog? So then I just went on my PC and googled, what is blog. And then I saw this website, wonderful website, WordPress, and they were like, create a free blog. And I was like, why not? So even today, if you go to my first and official blog, which is anamikamishra.com, the first article is Save Tigers, because that's how it started. And then I was very excited that, okay, I have this my own space where I can just freely express my experiences and my reviews and my thoughts, and share what I write, maybe short stories, poetries, even Hindi shairi and stuff. So that's how I started writing. And obviously my family, I'll thank my family, that my parents were, they were travel buffs. Even my dad was into a 9 to 5 government job. He was in bank, but he used to make sure that we go on trips every single month. So my entire childhood has been like that only. He was into photography. He taught me photography. So I was always interested in clicking pictures. So I started blogging at that stage. And then I was obviously pursuing BCA, and then I did MJMC. In the final year of my college, like in the third semester, I was talking to my mom and I told that maybe one day I'll write a book. So she was like, why are you waiting for that one day? If you have a story and if you feel that you can write, then just start writing. I mean, there is no perfect time. You if you'll keep on waiting, then you'll just keep on waiting. So if you think that okay, you want to write, then start right away. And that's how my first book happened. By the time I completed my post grad, my book was already into publication. And that's when I felt that this is what I want to do in my life, to add more meaning to it, because I have been through a lot, even career wise. Initially, when I started life coaching and consulting people, I was guiding them for the career aspect as well, because I had no godfather in the industry. I had no contacts. I didn't even have that much money to spend. That much, chodo, matlab, I didn't have any money. I was a student. So I was just writing these articles for 100 rupees, 500 words articles in my college, to some random websites. They used to pay me monthly. And so I was like, okay, I should do this because I'm enjoying this. And yeah, that's how life coaching happened, because I wanted to help people, because I didn't have any help, and I have had so many trials and errors throughout my career and my personal life. So to add meaning, I included, I studied psychology. I did my, diploma and my certification and a lot of things around it to make myself eligible to practice life coaching. So yeah, it just happened, eventually. But if you just bring it down to one point, it's all connected. I am doing everything is, connected to every single aspect of what I do. So yeah, currently I am an author, because it's and people say this and you are an author. No, I am first the writer, because that's how it started. So I am a blogger and author, and then life coach, and obviously I'm consulting climate activist also, because I have been travel blogging since 2007. So I have seen a lot of places, very beautiful places, and then when you go, it's all trashy and people just throw things and they're not at all responsible towards the places. They treat it like, okay, I'm not going to come back, so let me just throw the packet here and there. So that's how Responsible Yatri was born. I wanted to make a change, and not just share reviews and experiences that yeah, these places are good to go, but also to add meaning and purpose to it. So that's how Responsible Yatri. So yeah.
How nice to see that such a responsible person at a very young age. You're doing so many things. It's so wonderful.
Preeti, the name itself is nice, Responsible Yatri.
Yeah.
Everything
So
actually.
you're making an impact,
Yeah.
That is wonderful. I want to ask here,
do that, because every single, even you, when you visit any tourist place, like even in Lucknow, even like I had lived in Lucknow for 2.5 years when I was studying there. Even in my home city Kanpur, even the Bombay, Delhi, or Kashmir, or even Dubai, Paris, anywhere you just see the glamorous side on Instagram. They are posting some really nice pictures, but when you actually visit a tourist place, you'll see a lot of trash here and there. People are not being responsible and mindful about their actions, even towards local. Like responsible travel, I feel, is not just about not throwing trash here and there and being carrying your own water bottle. It's not just limited to that, but it's also respecting the local communities and helping people out there and being mindful to your actions. Like I'll take just small, very briefly, I'll just share this incident. I saw this reel on Instagram where this guy from India was just passing some really bad comments, and he was in Venice, and he was just yelling at the shouting at this girl, passing comments, and it was so derogatory. It was so it's very bad. If someone will do to anyone of us, we'll feel bad. So that's what everything comes under Responsible Yatri. So yeah.
Very nice. So this Responsible Yatri, how have you been able to eliminate the carbon footprint? Does it help there? Since we are working towards it, and by 2050, the country feels that our carbon footprint emissions would be really lessened. Are you doing any work towards that?
Yes. So apart from having this blog, being active, I'm also into conducting workshops, especially at the schools, because I feel the children are the sparking factor of any family. They can spark a change in the family, the entire family. If the children are they are well versed with the situation, they will force their peers and their parents and their relatives to just take the right action. That's how even responsible yatri was started. My nephew, we were just so he came to Bombay for the first time, and this was when responsible yatri, I started, I think 3-4 years back. So he was very excited for Bombay. He has seen these amazing vlogs and everything. So I took him to Gateway of India, and he was, so first I took him to Juhu Beach, and he was very excited about Juhu Beach because of the hype, obviously. And when he went there, he didn't want to stay there for 5 minutes. He insisted, Bua, please, let's go to somewhere, some other place. It's so dirty. It's so dirty. So I was like, okay, fine, let's go to Gateway of India. So when we went to Gateway of India, again, the same story. And he was like, it's stinking like anything. And then he told me that, Bua, you have such a good reach and you are into traveling and you write on travel. Your niche is obviously travel. Why don't you do something about this? I mean, I think you should do something about this, because not if not, then just include that in your vlogs, that people should not do this because it's really bad. And that's how it started. So this small little change, I was anyway travel blogging, and I could have continued and just included, but I felt this requires special attention. So yeah, so I conduct workshops in schools, and then obviously we distribute these steel water bottles and these reusable packets which has these spoons and small cups, so that you can just travel and not buy these plastic cups and plastic spoons. So right, as of now, I'm doing this because we're really a small community, although I mean every single impact matters a lot. So but then yeah, we are still growing, but I really aim that we reach the masses and people just adapt these things, because small little habits can create a big change towards everything.
Absolutely. So well put. And I think you will definitely achieve what you're aspiring for. Since you said you're a life coach, so what kind of clients do you get? Do you get more from the Gen Z or the millennials or from the 50 plus? What kind of clients do you get?
So, see, I'm a kind of person who can gel with any age group. Like, I can talk to a 10-year-old, I can talk to a 60-year-old guy also. So, with me, my clients are a mixed bag, but mostly, like, I would say, it's millennials, and then they're Gen Zs, and then, the elderly, because I feel 55 plus people are still a bit hesitant to open up. Like, they know that if they will open up, or if they will share, or if they'll communicate, then maybe their problem will get solved, but they're not still sure, they're very hesitant. Plus obviously when you reach a certain age, I feel you develop that kind of personality, so it's very hard to bring that change in you. Like if I tell any person who is 65-year-old to start making some changes, he may feel really hesitant to just speak about it. So that's how things are. So I feel yeah, so my clients are mostly millennials of my age group, and then it's Gen Z, and then yeah, elderlies.
So I think it's mostly about relationships, which you get a lot of clients. So here
Yeah.
I want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
Supposing now you get a client from the Gen Z, supposing, right?
Yeah.
He or she has a relationship issue. And another person, another client is from the 50 plus, also
Yeah.
having the relationship issues. You see it today everywhere, people are having it. So what kind of approach? Will it be similar kind of approach will you have for their relationships since you're a life coach, or will you give it a different approach?
No, absolutely different approach, because it totally depends on the mindset. Like if we talk about Gen Zs, they are very impatient and they just want the result right now. Like they cannot wait. They just want the message to get delivered right now, and then double tick, and then blue tick, and then reply. So they're like that, and the moment it doesn't happen, that quick, they start to feel anxious, and they're like, okay, this is over, okay, things are going to get bad. But with elderlies, I feel they're very calm and patient, and when you try to explain something to them, they will listen to it because they have that patience. Even the millennials, we are the bridge generation, I always say. So we are the mix of both. Like at times we panic real quick, but at times we also handle things with patience and calm. But definitely approach will be like 180-degree different, because both of them will have a different personality. And I feel it's not just about the age, it's also about the personality. So whenever I consult, whenever I life coach anyone, I just try to read their personality, and I just try to see what kind of person they are. I mean, if they have any history, or if they have any triggering points, or if something really bothers them, so I just try to behave and approach them according to that. So I think every single client has a different approach. There is no one shoe fit all thing in life coaching, I feel.
Right. So, with so much of your experience, how do you handle? I mean, could you give us any example where, like, you've handled people? Like, our audience would like to know if they have issues and they can reach out to you. So, how you manage to do these things? What is the approach? How they
So
can come to you, and what kind of a result would they expect?
So I'm very much active on social media, and I also have a TopMate account, and I also have this blog of mine, anamikamishra.com. So if anyone wants to reach out, they can easily reach out to me. I have this Google business page as well. So a few clicks and they will reach out to me, and I always try and answer the genuine queries and the genuine people who are seeking help. With the results, see, I never promise anything, because I can only tell you what to do, I can only suggest you what to do, I can only guide you. But if you do it or not, if you take that decision or not, if you adapt those things or not, that totally depends on the person. So if you are in alignment with what I am telling you, what I'm suggesting you, you'll definitely see the results in a few sessions. But otherwise, I feel it totally depends on the person. Like, I'm asking you to just stop, leave your phone for 1 hour, leave your phone for 1 hour, and if you're not following that, I mean, I cannot just hold your hands and tell you to do that. So the results, I never say that, okay, you'll get these magical results. Even with the manifestation, even with the relationship issues, with career issues, with family issues, everything, I can only guide, I can only suggest. So then rest depends on you. It's more like a teacher teaching. They are in the class and they're teaching, but they can't guarantee that, okay, all 50 students are understanding and implementing and just executing things.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this book which you have come out with, Shoo the Noise, what
Yeah.
exactly is it all about?
Yeah, so I have a copy with me right now. So, Shoo the Noises is an inspiring self-help book, and it talks about understanding your blockages, reclaiming your focus, and eventually manifest your dream life. Of course, the journey is not easy, but you have to begin from somewhere. You have to take that first step. So with Shoo the Noises, I have tried to explain those set of first steps that you need to take when you're trying to manifest something, or maybe live your dream life, or just have a good life to live. Because there are so many obstacles, and there's so many loops that we just keep on, we are running in loops, and everything is just get coming back to us, and then we are like, okay, we need to break the chain, and then we try to break the chain, and then again we get stuck in that. So Shoo the Noises is everything that you need to understand first. Identify your noises. Noises is actually your obstacles, what's holding you back. And there are noises in and out us that obviously stop us. So if we are able to identify it, and then if we are able to break the loop, and then reclaim our focus, these are some 4-5 basic steps that you need to just go through to live a good life or manifest your dream life. So Shoo the Noises is everything about that, to identify your noise and to shoo it away, and just to reclaim your focus and get back on track. to manifest your dream life, obviously.
See, you're using the word manifest quite a bit, and I think maybe our audience doesn't understand the word manifest, Like, Abhi, I am thinking about that. Like, it's like a
Yes.
dream. Like, I think manifest in normal terms would mean that if you want something very badly,
Yeah.
you will be able to achieve it. Like Paulo Coelho's, there's a big quote: the
Yeah.
minute you desire something, the whole universe conspires and you get it. Is it something like this? Do you, since you've tried it and you're doing it,
Yeah.
is it that
See,
way?
I feel manifestation is nothing like a mumbo jumbo, some magic will happen and swish and swish and you'll just manifest anything. No, it's not like that. Manifestation is just science, pure science. It's your brain work. And obviously you have to be aligned. So manifestation is anything that you just want to have it in your reality. If you desire for a car, if you are trying to manifest a car, if you have it, then you can say, okay, I manifested this car. So anything you have it in your this reality, this 3D world is manifestation. Once you get it, you'll it's considered done. So that's
That's
how it works.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So, what are the techniques for manifestation? Like, how anybody who wants to manifest, I mean, if I say, Chalo, I need this much amount of money, and I just say, I want it, but aisa it doesn't happen na, that I need this much cash, so I get it. No, there would be some techniques which I should be doing and how it should be done. Do tell us how it can be done, and how we can achieve our dreams.
See, I personally feel that it's all your brain work, right? And it's all the perfect alignment, your physical, mental, spiritual, every aspect. When it's aligned to what you want, you can actually manifest it. So when you say that if I want anything, or if I dream of anything, or if I desire anything, and if everything is aligned to that, if your brain is actually believing on the fact that yes, you can have this, you are eligible to own this particular car, then you can definitely do it. You won't need any tricks. There are some people who are so strong with their mind and so strong to just manifest things in their life that they can just think and just focus on that and they manifest. I have seen personally. But yes, to others who, and majority of people, they are not that weak and sorry, not that strong, and obviously then they require a lot of techniques. So, and all these techniques, what I'm going to tell you, they are just to rewire your brain. They are just to make your brain, the subconscious part, that's the 80% of our brain, just to make that program it to believe that yes, this is what I can have it because I am eligible for it. So the most common techniques and the most easy ones are like journaling, and then it's chanting, then it's vision board, it's Ho'oponopono prayer, it's EFT, and what else? Yeah, these are some of the techniques that people do. Plus, obviously, meditation, it adds on,
Yeah.
and it's very important because you have to have a very calm mind, and you have to have that peace of mind when you're trying to manifest anything. So everything like that, plus obviously your body needs to release the energies, so you need to channel those energies. So any physical work is also important, like whether you're walking or whether you're going to the gym or swimming or maybe dancing or whatever. So physical, mental and spiritual, everything, when you everything is aligned, then definitely you can manifest. So these techniques that I've told you, these actually help because it involves most of our senses, not one or two, but most of our senses. So yeah.
So journaling would be that you would be writing out certain things that whatever you require. Will it be
Yes.
that way
So
or
journal
something different?
Yeah, so see, journaling has many aspects. It's like there is no rule, there is no right or wrong for journaling, just one, that you need to be in the energies that you already have it. Because inside our brain of, or if we talk about the spirituality, the universe, the energies, we have infinite energies out there. Universe or our subconscious doesn't know what's right, what's wrong, what's present, what's not present, and we need to make that, we need to create those energies. So with journaling, you can write whatever you want. I personally suggest my clients to start with affirmations, because that's the easiest way. That's but Then it goes to the advanced levels, where you can script your manifestation. Suppose if you're trying to manifest a dream job, so you can be as detailed as you want, and you just write it, and you just read it before sleeping, and then again you read it, and then again you write it, just to make sure that your brain gets those thoughts and those beliefs again and again. Because whatever you feed to your brain repeatedly, it just starts to believe that this is the truth, and it starts to find the cues to just see that how you can make it possible. Very small example, even to the audience. Just Before stepping out at home, just stand in front of the mirror and say, I'll see red cars everywhere, I'll see red cars everywhere. And I can guarantee, when you step out, even if it's for half an hour, you'll see a lot of red cars. Ye bhi red car, ye bhi red car, yahan bhi idhar. You'll see that, because that's how our brain works. It focuses on whatever we repeatedly feed it. So journaling mein affirmations obviously, and then scripting is there. And then people even write switch word phrases, people even write miracle codes, people even write name of the gods, say Shri Ram, Jai Guruji, ya fir Jesus. So it totally depends, but the idea is to set your intention. Like, you should be very clear with your intention, that what you are trying to manifest, and then you just start writing. And once you're done with writing, you need to stop it right there. Like, you don't have to obsess over that, okay, I did journaling, now some magic will happen. So if you did journaling for, say, half an hour in the morning, just close the journal and just go on with your day. Need not to think about it, okay, abhi maine journaling kara to kuch to magic hoga, kuch to nahi. Don't obsess over it. Let it, just set it free. So yeah, this is what, how someone can start journaling. Affirmations is the easiest way.
What is, since you spoke about Ho'oponopono prayer, right?
Yeah.
So that is something which originated, I think, somewhere abroad, right?
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah.
So, and they say it should be a continuous prayer, right? Is it for 108 times or whatever it is?
No.
Could you just
see, I don't.
give more?
Say, I frankly and personally, I don't believe in counting numbers for anything when you're trying to manifest. No 77 times, no 108 times, no 555 times. I personally don't believe in it, because when you try to focus on the numbers, 50% of your focus is on those numbers also, and then you cannot just focus on what you're trying to manifest. So I always suggest that whatever you're doing, even for the journaling, even for the chanting, I say jab tak focus lag raha hai tab tak karo. Journaling mein aap count mat karo. You just write one page or 2 pages, whatever, however you want to do it, and just close it. Don't count, I have written this many times. Same is with Ho'oponopono prayer, even same is with chanting, affirmations, switch words, or even mantras. I personally, there are some mantras in my daily prayer routine that I don't count. I just chant. And whenever my focus goes off, I just stop right there. Because that's how I know, okay, now, I have put my entire energy, the required energy, to this set of, routine or energy work, and then I'll just stop right there. So with Ho'oponopono prayer also, I always say do it for 5, 10, 15 minutes till the time your focus goes off. Once you start to feel अभी मुझे वो करना है, अभी देखो कितना टाइम हो गया है, अभी तो रात होने वाली है, अभी तो फोन आने वाला, ना, you just stop right there, because that's, now your focus is gone. Even if you try to come back to that energy, you will not come in.
So what is EFT? You use the word EFT. Can you give us a detail? What is EFT while you're manifesting?
So EFT is emotional freedom technique. It's commonly called as tapping also, where you tap certain points, and it's a mix of subconscious energy work plus acupressure, and this is just to release something, release the blockages. Obviously, it's used for manifestation as well, because when you practice EFT, you have to say affirmations, you have to say positive sentences in the present tense. So there are some points. We start from here and then we tap it with our two fingers. So suppose if I am very stressed and if I'm not feeling good right now, and I just feel stuck, so I'll start with I'm feeling better, I'm feeling better. There are no stuck energies in me. And then I'll just repeat these affirmations. Then I'll tap here, then I'll tap here, 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 then here, and then on the belly button. So this is how it's done. And you tap it for 5-10 seconds, and you'll feel the difference, the release of energies. And when you do it every day, suppose you're trying to manifest anything, so just start with first positive set with EFT. Say, I'm feeling good, my energies are really good, yes, I can manifest anything I want, yes, I am eligible for this thing. And then again, I'm feeling good, all this is working for me. So you just have to tap tap tap, and once you start practicing, and that's how you manifest. Because anyway, again, it's going into your brain, it's reprogramming your subconscious, and it's releasing your stuck energies as well, because these are some really powerful acupressure points, especially our crown chakra and our third eye chakra. So yeah.
Since
Interesting.
your trajectory is so interesting,
Yeah,
we want
EFT
to know.
is actually something that I suggest all of my clients. Like I personally, because I practice it every day, morning and before sleeping at night. Because see, once you start working with energies, and once you start consulting people, and once you're talking to people, even subconsciously we grasp and adapt so many things. Like if I am talking to you, and if you say some negative things about yourself, I may not be consciously thinking about it, but my brain has already recorded it. So I need to release those, negative energy. So I always tell them before sleeping at night, just do it for 5 minutes, just release it. I'm feeling good. There are no stuck energies. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling positive. Everything is good around me. Just do it for 5-10 minutes and then go off to sleep. So you'll be good, go to sleep, and you'll not go with that baggage in your subconscious.
That's interesting. I want to know that how have you joined the dots? Like, it's life coaching, astrology, and tarot. Now, and why did you blend all the three?
See, when I was studying, this psychology and everything related to, all the courses that I've done about life coaching, it always talks about science. It's all the science. Everything can be explained. Everything is very practical, very bang on. But we cannot deny the presence and the effect of the planet, the cosmic energies. Obviously the planets have the effect on us. So suppose if I am guiding you on something, and if I feel, see, with life coaching, it's a very one way thing. You will tell me what the problem is, and then I will tell you that, okay, this is this is what you need to break down, and this is what you need to resolve, and this is fine, you go ahead with that. But how do I tell you that if it is right or wrong for you? Even, and that can only be identified with the work of planets. If I know that this is suitable for you, in the cosmic energy aspect, in the tarot, in astrology. So I just wanted to make my practice more holistic, so that if someone comes up with a question that, ma'am, if this is good for me or not, so I be able to tell you without being biased, without being, some, maybe I think that you should go ahead with the business, your plan is really good, but it is not suitable for you energetically, it is not suitable for you planet wise, it is not suitable for you according to the dates that are going on. So I need to be sure, and that's how I blended all of these three. And obviously I'm a Brahmin girl, so I have, my upbringing is in a very religious environment, so have grown up with these, Vedas and stories and incidents and puja stuff and everything. And my dad was a very practical guy, and he always, told me the reasons behind whatever rituals we are doing. Say whether it's the harvest festival or whether why we are celebrating Diwali, everything has this explanation, this scientific explanation. Every single ritual that we do, as Sanatanis, we have that, logical explanation to that. So, he used to tell me that. So I used to find it very interesting that, astronomy is so interesting and it has this impact on our life. And that's how I just felt that I need to learn astrology. I need to learn, tarot, because एस्ट्रोलॉजी पे हम प्लैनेट्स वगैरह रीड कर सकते हैं, एंड वी कैन जस्ट टेल द ट्रेड्स एंड व्हाट्स गोना हैपन, व्हाट आर द हायर चांसेस. लाइक नो वन कैन टेल व्हाट्स गोना हैपन 100%, but what are the energies saying, what are the planetary movements are, and what is its effect on you. With tarot we can tell the energies, because it's all the intuition work. The stronger your intuition is, the stronger you can read and record those energies. You can give better readings. So that's why I blended, because I wanted to just help holistically, and I just didn't want my clients to be confused about अच्छा ये नहीं करते हैं, ये नहीं करते हैं, क्या suitable है, because obviously mind वो इतने ideas देता है that people become confused with things. So in order to just have this holistic approach towards my practice, I blended everything and learned everything and practiced, and then now it's just working out for me.
Nice. So tarot is all about prediction or guidance. Since you have these cards, what
Yeah.
is it all about?
See, I feel everything is about guidance. Even astrology is about guidance. Because, as I said, no one can see what's 100% going to happen. People can calculate the movement of the planets. People can, write it down, even do numerology and stuff, and they can just tell you that this is going to happen. Even if you go to a good astrologer who is just an astrologer and practicing since long years, he will tell you this is the thing that can happen, and then he gives you the remedies to protect yourself. So we cannot just eliminate anything. Like if anything has to happen, it will happen, but we can reduce the effects of it. जैसे होता है ना, बोलते हैं कि इस वीक आपके चोट लगने के चांसेस है, आप ध्यान रखें. ऐसा नहीं है, चोट लगी जाती है, हो सकता है छोटी सी चोट लग जाती है, हो सकता है बहुत चोट लग जाती है कोई अगर ध्यान नहीं देता है. So it's all about guidance, and tarot specifically is about guidance. If someone comes up to me and says कि अभी मेरे को prediction दे दो आपकी ये क्या होने वाला है, it doesn't work like that, because it's all energies, and energies keep on changing. I'll give you a very small example. You must have seen people who feel furiously angry in the moment and they just throw their phone, and they feel that I'm never going to use this device ever again. What happens after half an hour or 1 hour or 2 hours? They start to regret. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. अभी phone बनवाना पड़ेगा, अभी मुझे check करना पड़ेगा, अरे यार नुकसान हो गया, अरे रोकना चाहिए था. Energies change, right? You wanted so badly that I'm never going to see the face of this phone. This is scrap. I just throw it, just break it. And then what happens? You regret. Same happens with energies. One moment you feel like I never want to see that person's face. And after 2 days, you're like, oh my God, I'm missing that person so much. I want to talk to that person. So it's all about energies. That's why I never ever give predictions. And it's not about predictions also. I personally feel, because I've been practicing this like since more than a decade now, it's more about guidance. So everything is about guidance, even astrology. I can tell you that this job is good or not, suitable or not, but then I can obviously give you some guidelines also, that this is something that you need to follow. But then if you don't follow, or if you can always change it with your conscious actions, because obviously, as I said, it's all your brain work. If your brain is consuming it, adapting it, executing it, it's gonna happen. आप सोचते रहोगे मैं तो हमेशा लेट होती हूँ ऑफिस को, हमेशा लेट होती हूँ, आप हमेशा लेट ही होगे. अब मेरे काम देर से बनते हैं, हमेशा अटकता है, आपका हमेशा अटकेगा काम. Once you start, and there's a very nice saying, it's called lucky girl syndrome. This is like, it's made for these Gen Z girls, but it actually means that lucky girl syndrome is like you feel that, okay, I am the luckiest person in the world and everything works out in my favor, and you just keep on telling this to your brain that I am the luckiest person, मेरा तो काम अटकता ही नहीं है, सब बन जाता है, सब हो जाता है, कहीं ना कहीं से मुझे हेल्प मिल जाए, and it will actually start to happen like that. So with tarot, with astrology, everything is about guidance. There are no मतलब prediction ठीक है लोग बताते हैं because obviously those are the movement of the planets and it's all calculations, and obviously it has an impact, we cannot deny it, but I personally feel tarot specifically is all about guidance.
Wonderful. So before we move on to the most interesting round, we have a giveaway, and our author Anamika Mishra would be giving this book, Through the Noise, to the person who answers our question in the best possible way. So,
And it will
listen
be
to everything. Yes, it will be signed by her.
And we have many questions also over here. People are asking. There are few questions which Preeti, you would like to take those questions.
All right.
Okay. Before we do that, let's go to the rapid fire round, and then we
Okay.
can take up the questions. So over to you, Aparna.
ठीक है. Yeah, I have few questions for you, Anamika.
Yeah.
So first is mountain or beaches. Where do you feel most alive?
Beaches actually.
If not an author, what would you be doing today?
Maybe travel photography.
All right. One book that changed your life.
It's Power of Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
Yeah, I have read
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Travel
wonderful book.
destination that stole your heart and why? A
Oh,
travel
it's
destination.
hands down, it's Gulmarg. It's such a beautiful place. Oh my God, when I visited that place in the summers, it looks like you're walking on the roads of these beautiful flowers, like the flowers that we buy in our cities for say 500 rupees. It's growing there or in the jungles, and everywhere you just see flowers, and they have these lavender fields. So I just love Gulmarg.
Preeti, there is some voice coming from your phone, I guess. One minute. Just close that, please. Okay, a life mantra you live by in one line.
Life mantra. Okay. Live and let live.
Instagram, Threads, or YouTube. Your favorite one.
YouTube. Oh, you
One
didn't
morning-
include Facebook. I love Facebook also.
वो तो है ही सबके लिए. Everybody is fan of Facebook.
Apart from
Okay.
Facebook, it's YouTube.
Okay. So one morning ritual you never skip.
As in spiritually or habit wise?
Anything. The
I
moment you
brush.
get up, yeah.
I don't open my mouth until I brush my teeth. Yeah, I open my eyes, and next thing is I'm standing in the basin and brushing my teeth. It's that, engraved in my routine, morning
So
routine.
that's a healthy ritual.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes my friends, like when we stay over, or even when in my relatives, they all get annoyed also. She's not speaking, bolo kuch bolo, and I'm like,
Right.
wait.
Okay. So what's one thing every traveler must do to travel responsibility?
I think you should just not throw the trash. That's most basic thing that you can do towards, the climate, towards the environment, towards that particular place. I'm not saying don't eat chips. I'm not saying don't buy water bottles, obviously, if you cannot carry. And there are certain times that you have to buy these, chips and cold drink and stuff like that. But then just don't throw it like that. Find a dustbin, throw it. Otherwise, just carry it with you and dump it in your hotel room or your homestay or wherever you're staying. But just don't throw it like that.
Okay, last two questions. Fiction or non-fiction, which is harder to write? Harder to write.
Okay, it's non-fiction.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
because
what-
it's all research based. See, I'll tell you. With fiction, you can weave anything. See, if at one point of time, because I've written so many fiction books, I'll tell you, at one point of time, if I'll feel that okay, I need to give some supernatural powers to this main male protagonist, I'll just insert and give it. I will not
Yeah.
have anything to. But with non-fiction, I have to be correct factually. So I
Yeah.
have to, whatever knowledge and experiences that I have, I need to cross check and verify that what I am trying to tell in my book, if it's right or not. So
Right. Correct.
obviously non-fiction.
Yeah. So last question: what
Yeah.
does a fulfilled life looks like to you in 3 words? A fulfilled life.
See, fulfill, I don't know, I still don't have a fulfilled life.
So far, your life has been. You have to tell that in 3 words.
Okay. Peace of mind, and enough money, and balanced relationships.
I think those three are really important in any point of life, I guess.
Absolutely.
These
Absolutely.
are the pillars of good life.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So yes, I'm over with rapid fire, Preeti.
So,
Now you can take few
yes,
questions.
now,
I've
yes,
mentioned
I'm
some.
going to take a few questions. Shivali Dikshit Saxena, another life coach, has asked a question. Swish is a very powerful technique. Do you imbibe NLP or neuro linguistic programming techniques as part of your manifestation in your book?
Yes, in the book, yes, I have spoken about NLP. I've spoken about NLP is actually neuro linguistic programming
Yeah.
only. So yes, I have spoken about it because that is the basic. I mean, if you are trying to reprogram your brain, and if you want to rewire it, and if you want to bring up change from within, then obviously you have to practice it. So yes, it is there in the book. It's mentioned, and wide part of the book is about that only.
Okay.
Okay. Our another member says, Purnima Sivaramanji from Jamshedpur is saying, I do practice these tappings. That is, she practices the EFT technique.
Yes. Okay.
And she says, because of this, I manifested, I wanted to write a book. And on my 71st birthday, I managed to publish that book.
Amazing,
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Ankita Agarwal says, how open are you to receiving the energy the universe is already offering you?
How open I am. Well,
Yes.
I am into practicing these techniques, and this is a part of my everyday life. So I know how to regulate what I want to, you know, receive from the universe. So I am definitely close to all the negativity. I am not open to that, but definitely, if universe is sending me abundance, I am open to that.
Everybody would be open to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody
We
will be
want to
open.
collect all the abundance.
All the
Yeah.
abundance, all the love from the people, and if and I just want to help also. So if anyone is seeking help at any point of time, I'm open to that. So even I think universe will guide them to me if I am the right person to guide them. So I'm open to all of these energies.
So our another person from the audience says, Shikha Gupta says, if the other party is adamant, how can the resolution be restored?
Relations be
Relations.
Okay, other party is adamant for not reconciling. I think she means that.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, there are two ways. One is that you let it be, because obviously there are two sides of coin. So one option, we always have two options. So one option is that you let it be, you let it go. You just understand that this person is not aligning with your energies, and this person is not good for you, and just let it go. Other aspect is that you start the change from within. So once and that is a very tough thing to do, by the way, because then you just have to send out the positive energies to that person subconsciously. So when you think about that person, instead of complaining, you just start saying positive things, that okay, fine, I understand, I allow you to be yourself, I don't want to change you, and I believe that you have good energies for me, and if you have good energies for me, I allow you to reach out to me. So just try that, just practice that in your subconscious, because I'll tell you what happens is, and it's a very scientifically proven fact. You can just research yourself also. When two people are in a relationship, and when the relationship is more than 3 months, specifically, you start to develop these mirror neurons. And these mirror neurons, they work on a very different level. Like, we cannot even see, we cannot even feel, but these mirror neurons are working. At times, you must have the, I'm talking to the girl, what was her name, sorry?
Shikha Gupta.
Shikha. So at times you must have noticed that you suddenly get that urge to talk to your person, or suddenly you feel that, something is wrong. Yeah, something that's actually something is happening on the other side. You don't know, you can't see. So that's why you can't figure out what's happening on the energy level. So when you start to say some positive things, and when you start to feel that positivity in you, that okay, fine, you are a very nice person. That's how we started dating, that's how we started our relationship. I know. So you practice these things, and you'll notice the change, because that's how your mirror neurons will help them diffuse their stuck energies subconsciously. Because this it's a very powerful technique. That's how, even the in ancient times, the rishi munis, they used to, practice this a lot. They used to go into this meditative state, and they just used to, connect with people via telepathy, and they just used to transfer the messages. And it's actually proven. Like, if you just read some scriptures, you'll see that this was the fact, and it's very much possible also. At times आपने सोचा होगा कि आप किसी के बारे में सोचते हो, एंड सडनली कॉल आ जाता है. आई मीन, एक बार कोइंसिडेंस होगा, ऐसा थोड़ी है हर बार हो. आप सोचते हो, कोई ऐसे दिख जाता है आपको सडनली, अरे आप सोचते हो, एंड किसी मूवी के बारे में सोच रहे होते हो, शाम को देखते हो टीवी पे वही मूवी आ रही होती है, 10 साल बाद भले ही आ रही हो. That's how energies work. You don't know. So one is to let go, and second is to start working on your subconscious. You diffuse your negative energies. You stop complaining. You stop asking questions, why he did that, if I'm not good enough, if he's not good enough, if we have a future or not. No, just leave, eliminate all of these negative energies, negative thoughts, negative belief in you, and you'll notice the difference. Yeah.
Thank you. So now we're coming to the end of our show. And before we leave, there's a question for our audience. And the question is, see, Anamika Mishra used the term EFT. So now we want to know, what is EFT and what is the use of EFT? So send us your answers, and you will be winning a giveaway from Anamika Mishra. And till then, keep smiling, take care. And before we say goodbye,